Yo, what's up? This is Z Energy, and we finna do a spectacular live tonight. And I got Zero. What's good, man?
Chilling,
Oh,
studying, tapping in.
it's that possession episode for the night, man. Oh man, gotta tap into a lot of this sacred energy tonight, man. Definitely. You want to start with the clips, or you want to start with uh definitely let's talk about the history, bro, first by going into these clips.
Well, I mean, like, from what I've studied, right, when it comes to like the Greek culture, possession was never like seen as a bad thing. Like these days, people are like, possession's bad. Possession is a thing that is negative. Um, they didn't see it that way. There are also cultures like in Africa with the Loa, and they would have the town gather around, and they would have the Loa possess people, or they would call it riding, because the person was described as a horse, and the Loa would go around speaking through the person and telling people within the town what they needed to do, healing people, condemning certain people who were doing whatever. They were going around marrying people. So it's very interesting to think about how society is demonizing and condemning possession these days. And, I personally feel like because of people's mindsets, this is why in most cases possession goes wrong and becomes a negative thing.
I noticed a list of Crowley in his books. He was actually studying a lot of this you know dealing with demonology books and stuff like that, and you could see it, man. Like it's almost like he dedicated his whole research into like harnessing his energy. So if Aleister Crowley made these books and he's using his energy, why is it that our people is not using the same energy? It's almost like a try dummy effect.
Well, we've been brainwashed into
Yeah.
thinking that the things that are natural are bad. Like when I tapped in, um, a lot of the spirits were kind of like upset because the old ways, man and spirit walked hand in hand. But in today's society, uh, we're so disconnected from source, and we're taught that. And if you want to go like a little bit further, if you want to get a little bit like political about it, when it comes to Christianity and slavery, whether or not it's historically accurate is not up for debate. But you know, um, if you want to remove black people from their power, then Christianity was used to do that, and it was used to you know demonize walking with our ancestor spirits.
hmm I noticed that, man. It's almost like they'll use the energy, and they'll put out so much fear tactics to keep people straying away from using it. And they use these fear tactics in like different manipulation, such as the movies and stuff like that. Not only the movies, the uh, Christianity was really doing it big time. Um, just like in the Salem trial, they was murdering anybody that had any social or any construct to like even performing any type of ritual work.
Hmm.
Um, definitely. So I was looking at that too. As far as like a lot of people was actually getting murdered by Christians, and a lot of Christians doing a lot of evil work and doing a lot of dirty deeds, and they tried to cover their own asses, so to speak. But they the ones was really anger the spirit. They angered the spirit in so many ways and kind of like pissed the ancestors off, just like you were saying, because it was a lot they was doing. Um, they don't forget about all the slavery tactics they was using with these slave farms, and killing a lot of indigenous people, and of the land and stuff like that. You name it, and it was already there. And just like the slave farms, they was murdering a lot of children as well. But my research was like conducted with the with the hoodoo priest I was talking with, and they was she was basically saying how the black people was using their gifts to like harness the energy for the good, but they used it and tried to make it look like it was bad.
Yeah. Well, I've always had, when it comes to possession, I've always had like this theory. A lot of Catholics are the ones that go through possession, and we know with the history of Catholicism, like they've pillaged, they've raped, they've taken information from different cultures and condemned it while utilizing it in their own rituals. So I feel like the ancestor spirits are angry because their energy is being used improperly. And you have a lot of Catholics who are low level, who don't understand these rituals. And unfortunately, they're the ones who become victims of these possessions. And so, you know, um, it's almost like they're kind of used in order to advertise the God of the Catholics. Like, oh, look, he has so much power, and really, you're just using the power of the old gods to exercise those people. You're not even doing it right, because a lot of those people actually die because they weren't supposed to be exercised in the first place. They're supposed to actually learn how to coexist and get along with that spirit.
Hmm.
But they're in the wrong mindset because they're taught to be in the wrong mindset. And they don't understand that the spirit that is inhabiting them is also a part of themselves. And if they don't come to grips with that, and if they don't have peace within themselves, then you're not going to have peace with that spirit as well.
So basically, um, just by doing any type of possession work, it really was for us to actually tune into the spirit and learn the message, and kind of like walk with the ancestors, so to speak, and to develop a special ability to like have a some sort of contact between you know the 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 realm we in into the realm of spirit. So the realm of spirit is like actually us more, so to speak, like a cell phone tuning in signal to the dead, so to speak. So anybody that's passed over, these messages become um, relevant to yourself. That's what you're saying, right? Or is it the other way around?
Well, I'm saying that like, it's invocation is basically asking for possession, inviting a certain energy in. Um, and it was common, to invite, whether it depends on what your intent was. Like, yes, you can invite the ancestors of the dead in. You can invite God energies in. you know. These days, like angelic, demonic, you can invite those in as well. So, and they're all going to play in a different manner, But the thing that I've found out that is when you invoke an energy, how you feel about that energy is going to be reflected in that invocation. So let's say you have a demon and you have a negative mindset about this demon. You see it as an enemy, but let's just say that you're not being smart and you decide to invoke this energy. You're going to have problems. The demon is going to treat you like an energy, so you're not going to be compatible with the energy that you're invoking, and that's what leads to these negative possessions.
Okay, I want to play a couple of clips and tell me what you. I just want your thoughts on this right quick. I'm gonna start with the first one.
In the seaside village of Navotas, in the Philippines, Eric Jeremiano has been behaving erratically for months. People here believe that his soul is under siege by none other than the devil himself. The Philippines is home to over 60 million Catholics. For most Filipinos, their concept of evil is based on the Christian belief in the devil. Eric's mother, Elena Jeremiano, fears for her son's soul. Every night she reads the Bible and prays for him. Often, that's when the trouble starts. Tonight, a reading from Scripture triggers something in Eric. His hands shake. His eyes roll back in his head.
Whenever he has an attack, his reaction changes. His eyes become vicious. He shakes. Sometimes I'm afraid.
Elena believes evil has descended upon her son. He claims not to remember what happens during his attacks. By Catholic tradition, only priests can conduct exorcisms. But one of Manila's most famous exorcists is a former Catholic who offers his services for free. He'll see hundreds of patients in a day. They call him Ka Imang. Convinced that evil spirits possess her son, Elena seeks help from Ka Imang. To purge the spirit, the exorcist must first identify it.
We'll try to find out who's possessing you, okay?
He places feathers between Eric's toes in a belief that they will invoke the spirit. Satan is just one possible source of the evil in Eric. Before Filipinos adopted Christianity, they believed in a whole host of evil spirits. To this day, demons, evil dwarves, and trolls are blamed for a variety of maladies. But the exorcist suspects that this time, the devil himself is involved.
The first time this boy visited me, I immediately knew this wasn't an ordinary case of possession. When I touched the feet, I felt a shiver. I knew it was a bad one.
Ka Imang tries to communicate with the spirit.
Whoever you are, I just want to speak with you. I wish you no harm.
To the exorcist, it appears that the spirit has seized control. He demands answers.
Why are you and the child? Go ahead, speak. What is the reason? Is there something you need from him?
In a state of possession, Eric begins to scribble. It's a disturbing message. Garbled words about darkness and the devil.
For 2 days, just go to church. Show that your prayer comes from your heart.
2 days have passed. Eric and Elena return to the exorcist. Ka Imang begins again by placing the feathers between Eric's toes. He tries to contact the spirit.
Does that hurt? Nothing?
Ka Imang finds nothing wrong. He believes the powerful combination of the earlier exorcism and Elena's prayers have vanquished the evil spirit.
They won't come back. It's over. You've gotten through it.
Elena is relieved. Eric seems better, but to be sure, she seeks further guidance from her priest. Father Rick has performed 9 exorcisms sanctioned by the church, but he's skeptical whether Eric was really possessed. Within minutes, the priest uncovers another possible reason. Eric's father died several months ago, and Eric only heard about it 3 months later. The attack started around the same time. Father Rick suspects Eric has been suffering from psychological trauma. The priest thinks the exorcism might have made the attacks worse by convincing Eric that his spirit was to blame. But Ka Imang still believes he saved the boy. He says the church disapproves of his work because he's not a priest.
What can I say to people that say this is taboo? That is your opinion. I will honor and respect that. I'm only doing this to help people.
As long as thousands of people in Manila continue to believe in his powers, Ka Imang will continue to battle evil spirits.
Oh, that'll stop it right there. Back that thing out real quick. I need questions on that one, man, because I feel like the trauma, was that the trauma from like that developed that right there, or that just a whole different fake it till you make it, maybe?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of factors that can be taken into consideration when it comes to the situation I see. Like, I can't speak on that too much because I wasn't there. But like, when the church does an exorcism, they first do a psychological screen to make sure that it isn't a psychological factor. I do believe that sometimes doing an exorcism can exacerbate a problem that is psychological if you feed into that. But however, I don't feel that the church has a monopoly on being able to exorcise bad spirits, so to speak. I also feel that a lot of those bad spirits come from the church because of the history of the church. You know, there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of sexual abuse behind all that. And not to say that, you know, like everybody in the church is bad, but it's just like the negative energy sticks with that, you know, and tends to feed off of the negative energy that is put within that organization, you know, and it grows. So in order to thrive and stay alive, those negative spirits that are attached to that organization will create more negativity, especially through negative possessions. And then when these things are televised, you know, like people are feeding into that, which makes it worse. In the case of like this kid, I mean, you know, I feel like it's I can't say whether it's like a real possession or not, because you know, sometimes there are psychological issues, and like if somebody feels that this person is going to heal me and they believe that person is going to heal me, then it fixes them, because you know it's all in the mind. You know what I'm saying? So it could have been psychological. It could have been a real it could have been a real exorcism. And in my opinion, if the boy is fine, who cares?
hmm He might have conjured his own energy up, though. Who knows, man? That's so like uh questionable because there's a lot of factors, just like you were saying, and everybody have chaos energy in them. It
Right.
just how it how it's used. You know what I mean? Because if somebody was to be in trauma state and a lot of abuse and manipulation and stuff like that, and no self love there, then that chaos spirit gonna be activated.
And
Um,
also this thing where they're talking about, oh, Satan was in him, Satan himself. Come on, like really? Like you don't think Satan has better things to do than to like torture some nobody kid in the fucking Philippines? Like,
Yeah, I'm finna get into that next clip, man. Here go they go to the next one. I'm finna back on out right here. This was in a church. I'm finna start it from a breaking point of right here.
This money back.
Yes, Papa.
The 20,000.
Yes, Papa.
You took the 20,000 that you did not even touch. You gave him back.
Yes, Papa.
But this time it was not the easy that you knew because he came insulting, calling you names.
Yes, Papa.
Is that true?
Yes, Papa.
This devil.
Yes.
You are asking him, every time you're asking him, he's calling you name.
Yes, Papa.
Your hope is gone.
Yes, Papa.
That business is gone.
Yes.
The two of you tried. Did you pray together over the matter?
Yeah, we did.
You did pray together?
Yeah.
You prayed together. This is why God wants me to speak. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
You have a good heart, and all you're trying to do is to provide for your two children.
Yes, Papa.
And the month of June, you went out of your way to make this business work.
Yes, Papa.
In July, you did the same. This man was convinced beyond measure. He put $20,000 and bought you a ticket. In fact, as I speak, he's after you for the ticket money. Is that correct?
Amen, Papa. Yes, Papa.
My God.
Yes, Papa.
You do not know what to do.
Yes, Papa.
You used to be friends for long, but Eze does not want to hear anything.
Yes, Papa. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, man of God.
Hear me.
I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay. Look at me.
Swear.
The reason why I'm speaking is because the enemy is too close to you.
Oh Lord.
Pamela, why?
So Pamela is behind this.
Relax, Pep. Relax.
You spoke to Eze.
I want to go ahead and fast forward just a tab. Right about right there.
There are levels and levels.
I feel her pain.
This is another
This is so sad. Father, help ease her heart. Just see how shattered she is.
My God.
Mega punish the devil. As a mega punish the devil. Whoever is behind your pain, in the next 7 days, may God expose his word.
He rallying up his church. But let me go a little bit further.
God doesn't care if you're.
Oh man, I skipped off of the whole scenery. Come on, buddy. Alright, it does. Hold on, we got a commercial. Hold on.
Now, Eze is watching. Are you hearing me?
Yes, Papa.
You have seen what happened here.
My God.
No more comments.
Yeah.
Hear me, my daughter. Listen to me. You're not evil. You have just allowed evil
Amen.
to come through you.
Amen.
You prayed with her. You even came with her to church.
I
But
love her
yet,
so much.
you love her so much.
Yeah, she's my best friend.
She's your best friend.
Yeah.
Love is not destructive. I don't understand her concept of love. Nonetheless, we will not condemn her. She must ask for forgiveness and repent for the damage and the pain she has caused. Beloved, stay guarded.
Be careful. Some people love you so much.
So basically, I'm gonna stop it right there because I couldn't find what I want out of that. Man, church is a big business, man. Big money business, man. That's all I can say. Big money business.
That's what I feel like. Like these mega churches, they dramatic and everything, and they want to be entertaining to get more people coming in so they can get that money. And I remember one time I was watching this televised church thing where they were doing a faith healing, and they brought this woman who had glasses on, and the pastor, he was like, "I'm gonna heal your blindness," and so he takes the glasses off the girl, and he's like, "Oh, in the name of Jesus, I'll heal you," and then she falls down, people catch her, right? And then they escort her off the stage without the glasses. It's like, there's no way you could have proven that you cured her blindness, right? You just took her glasses off, and you had people lead her off stage, So, it's people get too caught up in that stuff, and they throw logic out the window. They don't analyze things. They don't question things enough, and I'm not saying that like these things can't be done, like things can be healed, but I'm just saying that like these people, you have to question the motives behind these people. Like there are so many people out there with that sheep-like mentality that just want somebody to believe in and want somebody to follow, that they'll believe anything that anybody says, and they get let off these cliffs.
I seen this one guy. He was a shaman. Some lady that got into like a possession. I think it was at a restaurant, a bar, and he happened to be there at the time. And the lady was going through like rage moments, you know what I'm saying? Like just clicking, you know what I mean? So it took a lot of people to hold her down. And when they did, they held her down. He came and he grabbed this I think it was a shank, like one of those like it was some kind of object he was using. He just, I don't know, he just happened to have this object on him. Because he asked her, he said, "Do you want me to heal you?" He said, "If it's all right with you, I need you to believe into me." Like, you know what I'm saying? I guess he had to get some kind of consent to perform any type of ritual or magic or alchemy on her. So whatever was holding her against her own will, she had a little bit will to kind of like, commence for help, and he did perform this ritual he had on her. He told her it was like trauma experience, like she was going through so much, but the liquor was the tipping point, the activation. So she was basically going through the activation mode on that possession mode. I was like, what's going on? So the shaman, he was like, you got to stop drinking because the alcohol was like activating certain parts of her.
Yeah, it takes down your inhibitions and opens you up to things. So that actually sounds like more of a legit possession. because from experience, I know that there are spirits that can cause you to become uncontrollably angry, to the point where you can't calm down. And it is true that because that shaman may not have been part of her belief system, he had to get her to believe that he could help her. So that's why he asked her, do you believe that I can help you? Do you want me to help you? You have to believe that my way of helping people is going to help you. And with the liquor, it lowers your defenses. It lowers your psychic and spiritual defenses. And when you have somebody who is not trained, then it can lead to disaster, because they can't identify what is entering them. They can't, put their barriers back up. They have no defense. There are certain people who do go through rituals where they do drink alcohol, or they may imbibe in certain substances that put them into a trance mode. But because they have spiritual training, they know how to navigate that possession, so to speak. But when it's a regular person, it's not the case.
Yeah, man, definitely. I was seeing that, man, but like alcohol. But the thing about it, alcohol is called spirits for a reason.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The alcohol is pretty much I want to say it's just like no different from shrooms when you get to a certain level of alcohol, because the alcohol is actually alternate your subconscious, just like it's doing, like you taking I'm trying to think, the hallucination of like them. I'm trying to, like, what is that? It's like acid a little bit, but it's like a little different. But the alcohol, the more you drink and the more that alcohol levels increase, the brain have functions. So the brain is pretty much is gonna function on a certain alpha wave level. So the alpha wave levels in your brain is actually is open to like possessions. Whatever your moods and emotions is tied to on these these emotions, it can actually come bitter and sweet. You know what I mean? Bitter and sweet. So I found that alcohol is very like is really like a key. So it is sinking in with different emotions that activated. So if somebody was into abusive relationship or whatever, that alcohol gonna increase the levels tenfold, and the person becomes more into their feelings and more into their emotions. So the emotions is tapping into certain energies. Yeah.
And another thing is that alcohol is called a depressant. So when somebody's depressed, that's not a positive state to be in. So
what about channeling? When you're doing your channeling, like just for anybody that's out there doing spiritual work, the channeling, what a person gains from that. I mean, when you channeling, is it open to parasites, or is it open to the knowledge?
both. Like I said, depending upon what you're dealing with, you can open yourself up to parasitic. There's a lot of pitfalls in magic. There's a lot of traps in magic, which like when you deal with certain grimoires or certain people who deal with magic, Sometimes they put certain things and spells out there so that they can feed off of your energy. So you get people who are untrained who are like, oh yeah, like they want power or whatever they want from magic, and they think that they're tapping into something good when they're really not. And you can actually channel those parasites, because those parasites, they can talk through you, and then if they're talking to another person who may want some information, the parasite is going to give you information so that you tap into its energy so that it can feed off of you. You know what I'm saying? So you stay with that bad magic. You know, if you get hooked, you stay on that frequency, and they keep feeding off of you, keep feeding off of you. And I believe that that's what a lot of these like groups do. They create this magic where the people at the top get fed, and the people at the bottom are the ones that are having their energy drained. However, you can tap into good things and channel good things. But you have to understand how to identify a good spirit and a bad spirit. And you know, to me, when it comes to a real god or goddess, okay, a real god or goddess does not ask for worship, so to speak, in the way that people define worship these days. They don't need your energy. They have their own, you know, they don't need to feed off of you. You know, a real god or goddess is not going to tell you to do something detrimental for yourself. They're not going to ask you for something crazy, like a human sacrifice. Never ever in my practice with demons or angels or any god or goddess that I've dealt with has anybody asked me for a blood sacrifice, you know. So you know, like if there is a spirit that's asking for something like that, like that's a red flag to me. If there is a spirit that's asking me to do something that I'm uncomfortable with, that's a red flag. Because like I do feel like the gods and goddesses that come to you are your ancestors, and they're going to know what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. Like what you're willing to do and what you're not. And so they're not going to ask you to do something that's detrimental to yourself.
So another form of possession I want you to talk about, you know, elaborate on, is the possession of sacred items, toys, dolls, jewelry, meditation. Why is it happening that way?
I feel like residual energy soaks into certain things. Residual energy soaks into the land. It can soak into items that are used on your altar. There are people who focus certain types of energy and direct it into different things, such as dolls. And, you know, then those energies can sometimes develop a sentience, and they have to stay alive, so they have to feed. So they create a certain kind of atmosphere where they feed off a certain kind of energy. And that's what creates, you know, things like the creepy dolls or, you know, haunted items. You know, one of the other things that is popular is the Dybbuk boxes. Now, a Dybbuk box is, for those people who don't know, it's popular in Jewish belief. It's supposed to be an evil human spirit.
They made a movie about that. I saw it.
Yeah. And so they trap it. I guess they put like, they seal up the box and they put certain items in there to keep the Dybbuk in there. And I don't know if they pray over it, but the way they seal it up, they bless the box and they put it somewhere. But even with all that done, from the stories, that energy still leaks out and still affects people if you have that Dybbuk box around. And God's help you if you open the box.
I saw that, man. It was a movie. Like you was saying, that box became open to one of the. I think she was like 3, 4, 5, or something like that. She opened the box and through this whole movie, this box, she couldn't get rid of this box for nothing in the world. She could throw it away, try to burn it. The box wouldn't burn. The mother tried to burn it, but it didn't burn. But she saw the box just kept coming back, and a lot of paranormal activity started happening in the house. The girl became so weak, so it was actually draining her slowly of her essence, and the little girl became non-immune. I won't say non-immune. I'm just going to say like more crippled to the source of the energy. The spirit that was inside the box showed itself, and the little girl, it was a rabbi or something that came by, knew what this box was, and it was some kind of folklore tale. But a lot of these folklore tales, they don't educate us on these folklore tales. They're too busy hiding this information, so people don't. It's not aware to the energy, so they don't really got a clue what it is or what it can do. It could be like it could have been one of them ancestor spirits that was a guardian of Earth or whatever, and they took it and they try to hide all this information and its energies and stuff, because they knew it was gonna come up. It was gonna come up either way it goes. Just like the Catholic Church stored a lot of the items, sacred items, and talismans and information about sourceful items that was hidden. Just like the Pope have a lot of information on Ragnarok items, and they just now starting to actually tell a little bit of the damn truth. They want you to figure out the rest.
Well, they hide the true history by calling it mythology.
Yeah.
And we think that these are just stories, but you have to understand, like, these cultures didn't make this shit up just for entertainment. Like, they talked about this stuff for a reason, because back in the day, way back, man had to focus on survival. Like, times were rough. So if times were rough, where you had to dedicate most of your time on survival, why would you spend your time making up stories about things that didn't happen? That would make no sense.
So they just sit around the bonfires and just make up stories. That's what.
Yeah, but no, like,
tell it this way.
If you sitting by the fire and you talking about, all right, this is what we're going to do for the next hunting party so that we can get fed the next day. You know what I'm saying?
I truly believe that the people who's in charge of these stories, the Gnostics and all these different information. They took it and they knew the truth, and they were so scared. They let this information out to harness this energy. So they used it. So they like used the scare tactics and the fear and the domestic killings they were doing, and they did throughout history. It shows. It always have some kind of Christianity night. I forgot what it was called. It was it Knights of Templar. Was it part of that? Was they part of that? It was like
Yeah, I think it was the Knights Templar that supposedly they went east in order to go slaughter infidels or something like that.
anybody pertaining to magic was born to the guillotine, and the guillotine is chopping heads off, and they slaughtered, and a lot of people got innocent people got killed, man. Like literally, children was accepted to this behavior, and the energy that you feel coming from all this anguish history need to rewrite itself over and be told, and need to be told the truth. And definitely a lot of people really need to educate themselves on a lot of this history, because this history is actually part of everybody's lives, and it depends on how you take it. But I'd rather for the truth to come out than somebody to lie behind your back and stab you in the other lung.
Well, I feel like the history that we've been given, the narrative, puts a lot of people in a certain mindset. And so the mindset that those people are in when they accept this history allows them to be controlled more easily. And what you have to do is, in order to get the true history, and, not everything is going to be accurate, but you do have to educate yourself. And you do have to interpret what you learn yourself. And therefore, you create your own narrative that, creates a more positive mindset. And it puts you on the path to creating a new world where you benefit. And, if you have that mind of unity in a more positive manner, you're going to find more reasons to unify when you dig into the history. You're going to find more things in history that show that we are connected. And I feel like that's not what the powers that be want. They want to give us reasons to hate one another, to fear one another, to, stick to our own kind, so to speak. But we're splintering off more and more. You know what I'm saying? Like let's for example, with black people. Okay, so black people against white people because they were the slavers and stuff like that. But then you have the group of black people, and they're splintered off even more, because now you have gangs, you have Bloods and Crips, and you also have religion that splinters people off even more so, and it weakens us. Well, if we go back and we learn the truth about, let's say, gangs, so to speak. Okay, the gangs were formed to protect ourselves, but it got corrupted. Now, if we study the history of the roots behind certain religions, like with Gnostic Christianity, and mind you, like the people who were the foundation for mainstream Christianity started a war with the Gnostics and tried to kill them all off, because the Gnostics were about truth. They were about knowing, and in order to actually know the truth, you have to accept all different kinds of beliefs. Like you have to sift through all those things. And Gnosticism was a personal belief. Each Gnostic was different. Okay, if you're going to have multiple people who are all different, it's going to be harder to control. So you've got to get people into a cookie cutter mentality, but you got to kill the people who are part of that original version of Christianity before you can make the fake version. And a lot of people don't know that, you know. So like that's why you have to dig into history. You have to dig into history. You have to understand. And then on top of that, Gnosticism originated from Egyptian thought, Kemetic thought. Now, Kemetic thought teaches that we are all connected. We are all part of God. All right. So if you have the mindset of being connected, that's my brother. That's my sister. We're all family. We should be working together. In Kemetic thought, all the gods were family. Therefore, they were all working together for Source.
Mm-hmm. Hey, man, Zero, you on fire tonight, man. You on fire, man. Hey, man, but definitely, man, before we close it out, man, Ripley's Believe It or Not was actually telling everybody the truth about a lot of this stuff, man. Way before TV even knew about different items and history about the item and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff in Ripley Believe It or Not is some of the stuff that Pope Francis hid, and I found articles on that. Articles, you know what I mean? Old articles too. And Ripley's was a universal show all around the world. You know, they displayed a lot of different forms of people. Was actually original people from the earth going out of the what it was, the golden era. Was it the golden era? It was like the era of the frequency where everything was where the fairies were there and all these gnomes and stuff like that, before the earth transformed into just human dumbed down intelligence. You know what I mean? A lot of that information was actually realism, and they were displaying nothing but the facts on it, and it was telling people, and people made fun of this stuff, man. And in the stuff that the abuse that a lot of people had took down the line, it's going to show. So I think the spirits wanted the people to know the truth, nothing but the truth. You know what I mean? That's the only way you could satisfy somebody's appetite for blood. You know what I mean? Let them know the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the truth is definitely going to come to the surface no matter what. You know.
So, man, look, man, hey, man, it's a blessing to have you all day on, man. It's a blessing to have you. Definitely, man. If you could bring it like this, man, I'm all ears, man. Like, for real. I love this stuff, man. You know what I mean? I have to eat and live and read and, you know what I'm saying, download and learn much information as I can. But anything you want to say before we close out, let them know, man, about, anything in the spirit or Lilith energy you want to give out.
I just always encourage people to educate themselves, believe in what resonates with you, and remember that love is the only law.
Facts. Universal Law 101. Zero and Z Energy, and this is a possession episode. We conducting the information to inform the people on these current events and to study more about before even speak out your mouth about how this energy is so different to them. So educate yourself. Rule number one, and self-love. Yo, this Z Energy, I'm out. Peace.